The Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection has an embarrassingly bad launch. The Knights of the Old Republic remake is far, far away, and the newly announced cozy D&D action RPG. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. It's a big day, everyone! I know you're all already celebrating, but happy World Consumers' Rights Day, everybody. From London to Tokyo, crowds are congregating, holding their receipts to the sky and chanting, "I'd like to speak to your manager." And look, I know a load of people think it's a stupid holiday, especially as we're all gamers. To be honest, I don't really even believe in all that stuff. I just like spending time with my family. So let's forget all that silliness, shall we, and jump into our first story. The Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection launched this week, and what was supposed to be a sweet nostalgic re-release of multiple beloved mid-2000s games has turned into an absolute dumpster fire. In fact, one person on Twitter claimed that only 3 64-slot servers were available at launch for the 10,000 people playing. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I don't think those numbers quite add up. This hilariously bad oversight was the brainchild of Aspyr, who are working up quite the collection of mess-ups. They were responsible for the Knights of the Old Republic 2 Switch port that just didn't include the DLC that they promised it would. So I'm not quite sure why they've called themselves Aspyr unless they themselves are Sith Lords and are aspiring to ruin everyone else's fun. Either way, they did try and add more servers, but turns out the matchmaking was just fundamentally broken, such as in the game mode Heroes vs Villains, where no one could play as the heroes, leaving the villains to run rampant with literally no one to fight. They have released a statement saying their network infrastructure experienced critical errors, but nowhere in there is there any resemblance of an apology. In fact, they literally start with the line, "We'd like to thank the Battlefront community for their overwhelming support and feedback for the release." And it's funny, I didn't realize the word support was synonymous with anger, rage, and disgust. I mean, the multiplayer is locked to 30 FPS for God's sake, which is insane for games that came out in like 2005. And the worst thing is, it's World Consumers' Rights Day. Is nothing sacred? Either way, if you enjoy buying games and then not actually being able to play them, you can join in on the fun for a cool $35. And I'm sure they plan to fix everything up as soon as possible, but yeah, the damage is very much done. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake likely isn't coming out for over a year. That's according to Embracer anyway. Yep, today's show is all about disappointing Star Wars news. It's perhaps the most highly anticipated remake in the works, but it's been very much caught up in the whole Saber Interactive and Embracer split up that we talked about yesterday. In fact, it looks like it's going to be jointly held by both entities, which doesn't inspire much hope. And going from what the Embracer CEO said during a recent conference call, 12 months is lowballing it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2 years or more. And going by the game's development history, this isn't surprising. Originally, it was being made by Aspyr, you know, the people behind the last story, which probably made you go, ugh. As you would suspect, that apparently went so badly that they had the remake taken off of them. It's thought Saber Interactive have now fully taken over development, but just don't expect anything from them anytime soon. Dungeons & Dragons is getting its very own survival life sim video game. It's being made by Gameloft, the people behind Disney Dreamlight, the respectable Animal Crossing ripoff awash with all things Disney. It'll of course be set in the Forgotten Realms because no other 5e settings exist apparently, and will be an innovative hybrid of survival, life sim, and action RPG. And it's that description that does give me some hope, because there's an absolute abundance of cozy life sim games out there, and admittedly, they're not really for me, but I do love action RPGs and I do love some D&D. So if they can get the balance right, it might actually be something I'd give a go. Considering they're recruiting developers for the project, however, it's yet another game that's a long, long way away. But I'm curious what you think. Are they giving out the D&D license too willy-nilly? Will any D&D game be worth playing after the masterpiece that was Dark Alliance? No, obviously I mean Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know down in the comments. On to the Quickfire Round, and we're not gonna beat around the bush, we're gonna go straight into a follow-up to a story that we covered earlier this week. On Monday, we told you that the 100 Thieves LCS team was fined $5,000 by Riot for wearing open-toe Crocs to the spring playoffs. Not only did they go on to win the whole damn thing, but they've now only gone and partnered with Crocs. And lucky for them, the shoe brand will also be paying the $5,000 fine, so it looks like 100 Thieves will be wearing Crocs for a fair old while. Though I am going to be a skeptic here and guess that this whole thing was planned. You know, cause a stir with one player wearing Crocs, then get the whole team to wear them, and then boom, a sponsorship announcement along with a video just days later. smells sus to me. And on World Consumers' Rights Day, disgusting. Though it is also National Shoe the World Day, so I guess that balances it out. Over to Activision, or should I say Hacktivision now, because, well, they were hacked, or at least their Twitter account was, because yesterday, this was what they posted. Yep, a good old tweet advertising a blatant crypto scam. I mean, the wording is ropey as it is, but it even included this decades-old image of Crash Bandicoot. So if you were one of the people who fell for it, I'm sorry, but God help you. And finally, you may have heard about a certain Tekken 8 glitch that's been doing the rounds. PC modders have been creating clothing that's so big, opponents can't actually see what they're doing. Items like this oversized hat, or this metal block thing, are obscuring the modders' moves, making it impossible for opponents to tell what they're doing. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't play Tekken, so I find this low-key hilarious, but I do certainly sympathize with players who are trying to play competitively against these monoliths. Well, the game's producer, Katsuhiro Harada, has come to the rescue and has said that he and his mates at Bandai Namco will be banning players who use the exploit. He's actively encouraging players to report the cheaters, so if you're playing Tekken 8 as a giant hat, you might just want to go ahead
Get out.
and stop doing it. And that's the show. If you found it boring, that was intentional because it's also World Sleep Day. Have a great weekend and sweet dreams.